Mrs. Mamoni. Thank you so much for being Amar Baba.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to discuss and explain in detail. Number 1, what is journal? What is a simple journal entry? What is a compound journal entry or composite journal entry? Okay, how to prepare journal entries in the easiest way, step by step and logically by applying the 3 golden rules of accounting. This is the 3 golden rules of accounting. Okay. Number 3, what is event? Number 4, what is economic events? Number 5, what is non-economic events? Number 6, what is transaction? Now, number 7, all transactions are events, but all events are not transactions. Why? I'm going to discuss and explain in detail. Number 8, what is external transaction? Number 9, what is internal transaction? Number 10, what is cash transaction? Number 11, what is credit transaction? Number 12, what is the distinction between event and transaction? Okay, so let's get started. Chalo, shuru kara jak. So what is journal? The word journal comes from the French word jour, which means day. Therefore, the daily recording of transactions, date-wise, in a book is known as the book of original entry or the book of primary entry or journal. A journal entry which contains only one debit and one credit is called a simple journal entry. A journal entry which contains more than one debit or more than one credit or both is called compound journal entry or composite journal entry. Okay, now let's go through the problem. This is the problem. Journalize the following transactions in the books of Mamoni. Here are 2 transactions. 2023, 1st January, Mamoni purchased a car for her mother as a birthday gift. This is the first transaction. See, there is no money value attached. Okay. So now, is this a transaction? See again, Mamoni purchased a car for her mother as a birthday gift. So tell me, is this a transaction? No. This is not a transaction. So we won't be recording any journal entry for this in journal. Why? Because this is not a transaction. Okay? This is not considered as a transaction because this is a social engagement to which no money value is attached. See, no money value is attached. So what we are going to write in the journal? Let me show you. See, this is the format of journal. In the books of Mamoni, journal entries on the top you got to write. The first column is for date. In the first column, the date of the transaction is entered. You have to write 2023, the year. Then you have to write the date of the first transaction, January 1st. Then in the second column, you have to write particulars. As we know, each transaction affects 2 accounts, out of which one account is debited and the other account is credited. The name of the account to be debited is written first. Okay, and the word debit is also written towards the end of the column. And in the second line, the name of the account to be credited is written by leaving a little space. Okay, and the credit account starts with the word to. Okay, the third column is LF. LF means ledger folio. This is the page number of ledger accounts. all entries from the journal or letter posted into the ledger accounts. Okay. The fourth column is the amount column. The amount of the account being debited is written here, and the last column is also the amount column. Here the amount of the account being credited is written here, and then we have to show the total. Okay. So let's see the first transaction. 1st January, Mamuni purchased a car for her mother as a birthday gift. See the amount. There is no amount. No money value is attached. So this is not a transaction. So we cannot record in journal. Okay. Only transactions are recorded in journal. We cannot pass any journal entry for this social engagement. What is this? This is just an event. So what we have to write? We have to write in the journal that no journal entry will be passed for this social engagement or for this event. So let's write. So we'll write in bracket no journal entry. No journal entry will be passed here dash. Okay. This is not a transaction. Then what is this? Please understand. Let's see the first transaction. 1st January 2023, Mamuni purchased a car for her mother as a birthday gift, but there is no money value attached. So this is not a transaction. Okay. We cannot record this in journal. Why? Because this is not a transaction. Okay. This cannot be measured in terms of money. See, there is no money value attached. Okay. This is just an event. There are two types of events. Let me show you. There are two types of events. Number 1, economic events. Number 2, non-economic events. Economic events are also known as monetary events or financial events. Non-economic events are also known as non-monetary events or non-financial events. What is event? Everything that happens in every moment of human life is an event. Okay? So there are two types of events. Economic events, non-economic events. Okay? What is economic events? So what is economic events? Economic events are those events which can be measured in terms of money. Economic events are also known as monetary events or financial events. An event which brings about a change in the financial position of the business. That is, a change in the values of some of the assets, liabilities or capital are classified as economic events. So economic events are transactions. Economic events are recorded first in the books of original entry or journal as and when they take place. Some examples of economic events are as follows. Number 1, purchase of goods in cash or on credit. Number 2, sale of goods in cash or on credit. Number 3, cash introduced by the proprietor as capital. Number 4, return of goods to the supplier or creditor. Number 5, return of goods from a customer or debtor. Okay. So what is non-economic events? Non-economic events are those events which are carried out solely for the satisfaction of one's own desires. Non-economic events are those events which cannot be measured in terms of money. Non-economic events do not bring about a change in the financial position of the business. That is, a change in the value of some of the assets, liabilities or capital. Non-economic events are not transactions. So these events are not recorded in journal. Why? Because journal records only transactions or economic events. Some examples of non-economic events are as follows. Number 1, receiving a price list from a supplier of goods. Number 2, personal expenses of the proprietor paid out of private funds. Number 3, sale of personal assets and proceeds put into personal cash. Number 4, appointment or dismissal of an assistant. These are the examples of non-economic events. Okay? What is transaction? A transaction or a business transaction may be defined as an economic activity of the business which brings about a change in the financial position of the business. That is, a change in the values of some of the assets, liabilities or capital. Transactions refer to any exchange of goods and services for cash or on credit basis by the business with the outside parties, that is customers or debtors and suppliers or creditors. A business refer to the event of business which can be measured in terms of money and recorded in journal. In accounting, an economic event is known as transaction. Transaction occurs between two or more parties involving interchange of goods, services and money. So what are the examples of transaction? The examples of transactions are just like the examples of economic events, same as the economic events. Okay? Understood? Because transactions are economic events. Okay? So the first transaction on 1st January 2023, Mamuni purchased a car for her mother as a birthday gift is not a transaction because this is a social engagement or this is a non-economic event. Why? Non-economic events cannot be measured in terms of money. Okay? Economic events can be measured in terms of money. And please remember, economic events are known as transactions because economic events can be measured in terms of money, but non-economic events cannot be measured in terms of money. See, can you measure this transaction? No, there is no money value attached. So this is just a social engagement. Since there is no money value attached, this is a non-economic event and non-economic events cannot be measured in terms of money. And in journal, we only record transactions or economic events which can be measured in terms of money. যেটা আমরা মানিতে মেজার করতে পারবো না সেটা আমরা জার্নালে লিখতে পারবো না. This is the rule because journal only records economic events or transactions because we can measure economic events in terms of money, but here no money value is attached because this is a social engagement or this is a non-economic event which cannot be measured in terms of money. Okay? So all events are not transactions. So this is a event, but this is a non-economic event. So all events are not transactions because there are two types of events. Okay? One is economic event, another one is non-economic event. So all events are not transactions, but all transactions are events. Why? Because only economic events are transactions, but all transactions are events because all transactions are economic events. Understood? So why all events are not transactions? Because there are two types of events, economic events and non-economic events. Only economic events are transactions. So this is the reason all events are not transaction. Only economic events are transactions. Okay? But all transactions are events because all transactions are economic events and journal only records economic events or transaction where there is money value attached. যেখানে money value নেই সেখানে journal কোনো transaction record করে না. Understood? You can only record events which have money value attached. Events which do not have any money value attached, you cannot record those events in the books of journal. So, events which can be measured in terms of money can be recorded in the books of journal. Events which cannot be measured in terms of money cannot be recorded in the books of journal. Okay? So, I have explained why all transactions are events, but all events are not transactions. Okay? Now, let's see the next transaction. The last transaction or the next transaction is on 3rd January 2023, Mamuni purchased a car for use in the business. 6 lakhs. See, there is money value attached. This is a transaction. Okay, and the car has been purchased for use in the business. So, this is a transactions. So, how to prepare journal entry? Let me show you. So, how can we prepare journal entries? We have to prepare journal entries logically by applying the 3 golden rules of accounting. Okay? Accounts, rules of double entry system, personal account, impersonal account. Under personal account, debit, receiver of the benefit, credit, giver of the benefit. Under impersonal account, number 1, real account, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Under nominal account, debit all losses and expenses, credit all gains and incomes. So you got to remember or memorize the 3 accounts. Number 1, real account, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Number 2, nominal account, debit all losses and expenses, credit all gains and incomes. Number 3, personal account, debit receiver of the benefit, credit giver of the benefit. You got to memorize this chart. Okay? Because by the help of these 3 golden rules of accounting, we are going to prepare journal entries. Okay? Now what is real account? Real account is an account related with all assets of a firm which are tangible or intangible. Okay? Real account is then classified in 2 subcategories. One is tangible real account. Number 2 is intangible real account. Tangible assets have physical existence. Intangible assets do not have physical existence. What are the examples of tangible real account? Well, cash, furniture, building, motor car, machinery, etc. What are the examples of intangible real account? Goodwill, patent, copyright, trademark, etc. What is nominal account? Nominal account is an account related and associated with losses, expenses, incomes or gains. Okay? Examples of nominal account are depreciation, repairs, salary paid, salary received, wages paid, etc. Okay? What is personal account? Personal account is an account related to persons or individuals or firms or companies. Personal account is then classified into 3 categories. Number 1, natural. Number 2, representative. Number 3, artificial. Okay. What are the examples of natural persons? Ram account, Ramesh account, Rajesh account, Mamuni account, etc. What are the examples of representative? Salary payable, outstanding wages, prepaid interest, etc. What are the examples of artificial persons? Partnership firms, companies, bank, charitable trust, etc. Okay? Understood? Now let's see the last transactions and let's see how to prepare the transaction with the help of 3 golden rules of accounting. You got to memorize this chart. Number 1, real account. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Number 2, nominal account. Debit all losses and expenses, credit all gains and incomes. Personal account. Debit receiver of the benefit, credit giver of the benefit. Please memorize this chart. This is very, very important. Okay? Now see. On 3rd January 2023, Mamuni purchased a car for use in the business 6 lakhs. This is a transaction because we can measure this economic event in terms of money, 6 lakhs. Okay? So, first thing, how to prepare journal entries in accounting. The first step is first read and understand the transaction clearly. Okay? And the second step is, since we are doing a simple journal entry, this is a simple journal entry. Let us identify the 2 accounts involved in the transactions. একটা যদি debit হয় আর একটা credit হবে. There should be 2 accounts. Okay? So what are the 2 accounts? let me identify. First, let me do it in rough so that you can understand. So let's go through the transaction. Mamuni purchased a car. So one is car, but you cannot write car in accounts. We have to write motor car. Okay. So the first is motor car. So the first account is motor car. Okay. So Mamuni purchased a car for use in the business 6 lakhs. So another account is cash. Okay. Car is an asset. So car comes under real account. Okay. Cash is also an asset. So cash comes under real account. Okay. The third step is we have to determine which account is to be debited and which account is to be credited. Should we debit motor car or should we debit cash? Should we credit motor car or should we credit cash? In order to find out which account is to be debited or which account is to be credited, we have to apply the 3 golden rules of accountancy logically. Okay? So we came to know that motor car comes under real account. Okay. And cash also comes under real account. So we got to look at the chart again. Real account. Under real account, debit what comes in. Credit what goes out. Okay. See again. Under real account, debit what comes in. Credit what goes out. So here, when Mamuni purchased a car for use in the business, motor car is coming into the business. And according to real account, what comes in is debit. So motor car is coming into the business. So motor car should be debited. Okay. Here, when Mamuni purchased a car for use in the business, cash rupees 6 lakhs is going out of the business. So according to real account, what goes out is credit. Here, cash goes out from the business. So cash account will be credited. Okay. So now we'll do it in where. Okay. How to do it? Let me show you. Please remember, this is the rough work. I did this to make you understand. But you have to do it in where. Okay. First, we have to write the debit account. What is the debit account? Let me see. See, motor car, debit. So we'll write motor car account debit. Motor car account debit. Do not write car. We have to write motor car. Okay. Motor car account debit. And then you'll write debit here. How much? 6 lakhs. So you'll write in the first column for the debit account. Okay. And which account is credit? Let me show you. See, cash account, credit. So let's write. So you leave a little space and then you write to cash account. Okay. We don't have to write credit here. 2 means credit. Okay. So we'll write 6 lakhs in the last column for the credit account. And now we have to write narration. What is narration? In bracket, we always have to write narration. Narration means brief note or brief explanation. So we'll have to write being car purchased by Mamuni for use in the business. Okay. So this is the way you have to write. First you have to write the debit account. Then you have to leave a little space and you got to write the credit account to cash account. 2 means credit. 6 lakhs. For debit account you have to write in the first column 6 lakhs. And for the credit account you have to write in the last column 6 lakhs. And then you got to add up the total in the debit column, that is 6 lakhs. এখানে আমাদের just দুটো transaction আছে, but আরো transaction হবে, you got to add up. And then you have to add up the credit column. Please remember, the total of debit column should always be equal to the total of credit column. Okay. So the journal entry is complete. I hope you understood. So I hope you understood. Events are of 2 types. Economic events, non-economic events. Economic events can be measured in terms of money. Non-economic events cannot be measured in terms of money. Economic events are also known as monetary events or financial events. Non-economic events are also known as non-monetary events or non-financial events. Economic events are transactions, but non-economic events are not transactions. Okay? That is the reason all transactions are events, because all transactions are economic events, but all events are not transactions, because there are two types of events, economic events and non-economic events. Only economic events are transactions, but non-economic events are not transactions. That is the reason we say all transactions are events, but all events are not transactions, because there are two types of events, economic events and non-economic events. Only economic events are transaction, but non-economic events are not transactions. But all transactions are events, because all transactions are economic events. Okay? Because economic events are transactions, because they can be measured in terms of money, but non-economic events cannot be measured in terms of money. This is the reason we say all transactions are events, but all events are not transactions. Okay? I hope you understood. So, how many transactions are there? Transactions can be classified as follows. Number 1, external transaction. Number 2, internal transaction. Number 3, cash transaction. Number 4, credit transaction. Okay? Now first, let me go through the external transaction. External transaction. An external transaction involves exchange or transfer of values between two or more independent business organizations. In other words, if a transaction occurs between an outsider and the business organization, then it is known as external transactions. Example of external transaction are as follows. Number 1, purchasing goods from another business organization. For example, A limited company purchases goods from B limited company. Okay? Number 2, selling goods to another business organization. Let me be more specific. Let's say X limited company sold goods to Y limited company. Okay? This is known as external transaction. Okay? Now what is internal transaction? An internal transaction does not involve any exchange of values, and it takes place entirely within one business organization. In other words, if a transaction occurs internally, that is from one department to another department within the same business organization, then it is known as internal transaction. Examples of internal transactions are as follows. Number 1, supplying raw materials by stores department to the manufacturing department of the same business organization. For example, supplying raw materials by stores department to the manufacturing department of the same business organization, say A Limited. Okay. Number 2, payment of salaries to the staffs of the same business organizations. That means payment of salaries to the staffs of B Limited. Okay. What is cash transaction? Cash transactions are those transactions in which there is interchange of cash. Here cash is either paid or received immediately at the time when transaction takes place. Importantly, please remember, when payments are made using credit cards or checks, these are also considered cash transactions. Okay? Example of a cash transaction. If you are buying a smartphone from mobile shop and you immediately do a payment of rupees 20,000 for the smartphone, this transaction is a cash transaction. Okay? What is credit transaction? Credit transactions do not involve the immediate interchange of cash among parties entering into a transaction. Here the payment or receipt of cash is not made immediately at the time of transaction, and the payment is made after a certain period. Example of a credit transaction. If you are buying a car on credit, credit means udhar or dhare kena. where you are not making the payment for price of a car immediately, but you will make the payment of the car at some future date. You are taking the possession of the car without doing the payment for the car. This transaction is a credit transaction. Okay, I hope you understood. So now let's see what are the differences between event and transaction, or what is the distinction between an event and transaction. Event. Number one, each and every event is not measurable in terms of money because only economic events or monetary events or financial events can be measured in terms of money. Number one, transaction. Each and every transaction is measurable in terms of money because transactions are economic events or monetary events or financial events. Okay? Number two, event. An event may or may not result in exchange or transfer of benefit or value. Number two, transaction. An external transaction results in exchange or transfer of benefit or value. Okay? Number three, event. A non-economic event or a non-monetary event or a non-financial event does not bring about a change in the financial condition of a business. Number three, transaction. A transaction necessarily causes a change in the financial condition of a business. Number four, event. A non-economic event does not involve two parties. Number four, transaction. An external transaction always occurs between two parties involving interchange of goods, services, and money. Number five, event. Non-economic events are not recorded in the books of accounts of a business, that is journal. Only economic events are recorded in journal. Number five, transaction. All transactions are recorded in the books of accounts of a business, that is journal. I hope you understood. Everything is clear now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your precious time. I sincerely hope this was helpful. I'll catch you all in the next video. Till then, keep rising and keep shining. Bye-bye. Take care, stay safe and stay blessed always.